I'm Pamela Portnoy, and no one's okay. Welcome back to No One's Okay. I am back. Today, I have a little bit of a different episode for you. Very clearly, we do not have video, just audio. My guest today is Matt Mancuso, who has joined me on the show more than once before. Maybe three, I don't know. Do you know?
I think this is my third.
Matt and I are always podcasting. There are like 3 different shows we podcast on together.
So many podcasts.
It feels like a lot, but always happy to have Matt. We actually just got back from a weekend in Montana visiting our friends, and we both came back beat. And I also want to wait a little bit before I go into studio to make sure that I didn't pick up anything at the airport, better safe than sorry. So Matt and I are on Zoom, just shooting the shit. We're going to talk the trip, and we're going to talk Ted Lasso, which is our newest obsession on television. If you haven't checked it out, we highly recommend it. But fair warning, lots of spoilers in this, probably, I'm assuming.
So many spoilers.
Lots of spoilers.
So many spoilers.
Okay, Matt, you were the one that recommended Ted Lasso to me. What were your first impressions?
Okay. So Ted Lasso this is what I love about Ted Lasso. I find it's like the surprise hit of 2020, and it was the show everyone needed in 2020, because I know it kind of crept up out of nowhere. Like I'm sure Apple TV Plus made an announcement, because Apple TV Plus kind of came on the scene in like late 2019 with the morning show and like Mythic Quest and all these other shows. Like the morning show was the big show that they were launching with, and C with Jason Momoa, which I haven't watched anything of C, but I had heard that it was coming out, and I think I watched like the first maybe trailer. I don't even remember the trailer. That's
if you don't remember the trailer, that's weird, because I never remember anything specific like that, but you are someone that always remembers these things.
And that's why I feel like it was one of those shows where I was like, oh, okay, what is this? Like I knew I had it marked in my calendar as like, oh, Jason Sudeikis. I like Jason Sudeikis. Okay. I'll watch the show. Let me, because I try to watch all the new shows that come out, because I feel it's important as an actor in the industry to watch all the new stuff. Even if you only watch one episode, it's like to be aware this is the show. If you don't like it, doesn't matter if it becomes a hit. You should at least know what it is.
Absolutely.
So and I'm a huge Anglophile, so I was like, oh, it takes place in England.
You and me both.
I know. So to me, Ted Lasso, I remember because they released, I believe, episodes 1, 2, and 3 for the first season on the first day, which is kind of how Apple TV Plus has run their first seasons. Like they release like the first 3 episodes of their first seasons, and then the rest they release 1 a week. So, and I remember I sat down, I watched the first episode. The opening scene in Ted Lasso with Hannah Waddingham's character Rebecca, like when she's firing the coach, like the fact that the joke where she's like, I can see your left testicle.
I literally just rewatched the pilot this morning to like get my head in the right space, and that was so funny. I love her character.
Her character is awesome, and then it was like, I can see your left testicle in your shorts. Oh, and there's the right.
There's the other one.
And then I can't remember what she calls them. She's like, I believe they're called this and this. And I was like, oh God. And like just even like the opening of, can I get the British kid getting on the plane? Like, can I get an Ussie instead of a selfie? And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, because it's us. It's like, it's not just me.
And it was like, that was a very sweet and nerdy thing to say. But then he like proceeds to tell him that he was going to be ripped apart.
Yeah, he's like, you're going to be shit, but it's great. And then the introduction.
He's like, you're really brave. You're going to get murdered.
And yeah, the introduction of Brendan Hutt's coach Beard, who's like actually studying how to play soccer. Football. The correct term is football. And I
Hmm.
actually agree with that. So I am an American who does not understand why American football is called football, considering there's like you only ever use your foot to punt or to kick a field goal. So why the hell is it called football? So to all you football fans, American football fans, because I really don't care. Sorry, I really don't like American
I don't
football.
follow the football, but I wish I did. Like I'm not I'm kind of at the place where I wish I could like understand what everyone's talking about and raving about, but I'm also like not willing to put in the effort.
Don't. Don't.
Sorry, sports fans.
So, I
Um,
mean, I'm a baseball fan from the beginning of time, and football. See, this is what I say about American football. It's arduously long for no reason.
that's
It's
really funny.
it's 4 quarters splitting up, and each quarter is 14 minutes or 15. I believe it's 14 minutes. Each quarter is 14 minutes. Yet football games last 4 hours. The math to me does not work out. And that's what people are like, isn't it exciting? I'm like, no, there's no tension. There's
Well,
hardly any tension.
baseball's really long too, and like I enjoy going to baseball games not so much to watch the games, but because I like the social experience of going to a baseball
True,
game.
but
I
then
really like ordering the hot dog and the snacks and just chatting with the people sitting next to me. And I've been to many baseball games, but I
yeah.
don't remember any of
I mean,
the like what happened in the game.
I do, and I mean, because baseball has been like a family thing for my household. Like we all Yankee fans, everything, you know. But baseball to me is like, well, there's 9 innings, and there's no time limit for the innings, so technically, it can be as long as it needs to be. So that's why I said it makes sense to me when like a baseball game says, "Oh, it was 4 hours," because then I go, "Oh, so then there were some innings that were possibly longer because either the pitcher was losing steam, or there were errors, or there were home runs and they had to bring in a new pitcher." And this, I was like, "There's reasoning behind it." When someone's like, "There's timeouts," I'm like, "So?" No, the reason that football games are long is because you're taking commercial breaks. It's a freaking show. It is a television show. That is
Ah,
why
the
American football.
sports.
That's why. Anyway, back to Ted Lasso. Sorry. Um. So, so to stay on Ted
I'm
Lasso.
just nodding and smiling because I don't know anything about the sports. The only sports I know anything about are football, soccer, football,
Yeah.
and basketball because I used to play basketball.
Okay. So
But
back to Ted
yeah,
Lasso.
yes, thank you.
So Ted Lasso, in the first three episodes, I remember it's the pilot. I think the second episode is Biscuits,
Yes,
which is Biscuits with the Boss,
biscuits with
um,
the boss every morning,
which
which he doesn't have time for.
he doesn't have time for, which is again like the beauty of Ted Lasso working his magic. And I'm like, okay, now I have to do research because I remember what the third episode is. I
Oh,
should hang on. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
you don't
Sorry,
have it at the top of
everybody.
your head, Matt?
I know. I
Wow,
normally have these.
shocking.
I normally have these names like right there, but I don't have the third episode of the first. I don't have it all memorized yet. I apologize.
Our
Oh,
listeners,
oh,
unforgivable.
and this is why it's so brilliant. So like the pilot, the pilot didn't have as many like laugh out loud moments. I think it was like very much like a good pilot. It was
It's setting the
establishing
stage.
it was establishing the characters. Like we knew who uh, Ted was. We knew his relationship with Beard, which is very important. We knew how Rebecca felt about Higgins, played by Jeremy Swift, because that's also very important. Like it sets up the relationships. It introduces Nate, played by Nick Mohammed. Roy Kent, Brett Goldstein, and Jamie Tart, Phil Dunster. So like we're getting all of these. We're getting all of these people. We're seeing the relationships, and there were some good moments. The bet to use Into Touch because they don't call out of bounds. They call it into touch or something to throw the ball in.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like, okay.
Oh, the relationship with the press too was set up.
And the relationship with the press, and we got introduced to Trent Krim, the Independent.
From the
Um,
Independent. Yes.
because then, like the second episode is Biscuits, where we get Ted gets a little bit more into his relationship with uh, Rebecca, and we start to see him start to coach a little bit. We see problems. Oh, we also get Keely Jones in the pilot, played by Juno Temple. Who,
She's
um,
fabulous.
she's fantastic. And then we see
Everyone's
her.
great.
We see her relationship with Jamie, and then we see how things start to go. I believe the second episode is also where they talk about how can they better the what can they do for the players um that is not like football related, which is fix the shower pressure,
Oh yeah,
which is forming bonding in the clubhouse besides just winning and losing, because they're a Premier
for
League
sure.
team,
And also
which
there was a lot more like specifics about setting the stage. There was
yeah.
one thing that really stuck out to me when I was watching Biscuits. Um, because I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan, and
Uh-huh.
Jamie Tart was talking about, he's like, I'm Mick Jagger.
And
Roy
Roy Kent
Kent is
is
Keith
Keith
Richards because
Richards.
he's
Yes.
so old and no one understands how he's still around. I died because I fucking love Keith Richards and I love the Rolling Stones so much. And
Yep.
sadly, this week we got the news that
Yeah,
Charlie
I
Watts
know.
passed away, which was really, really sad.
Yeah.
Really, really sad.
Sorry for all you Rolling Stone fans out there.
It's such a bummer. But yeah,
Um,
no, there's lots of like wonderful, like dynamic descriptions and character descriptions.
yeah, but I
Great
think
writing.
great writing, and this is where I think the third episode, why it was brilliant the way Apple did it, because the third episode, that's why I looked it up. Third episode is the episode titled Trent Krim, the Independent, which is when, after a failed attempt, Hannah Waddingham's character Rebecca is trying to destroy the AFC Richmond Football Club because it was owned by her ex-husband who cheated on her the whole time they were married. Played by the wonderful Anthony Stewart Head, who's just disgusting in his role, but in a good
It's
way.
really good, yeah.
So Trent Krim the Independent was again another ploy to sabotage Ted Lasso, which is, I'm going to get Trent Krim, who already hates Ted and hates the fact that there's an American football coach here to play European football and coach European football. And it just shows the power of Ted Lasso's positivity and the way of going around of being a good human. You should be, Ted Lasso's like big main message is be a good human first. Think of others first. Don't
100%.
And so in that episode, you see Ted get insulted millions of times, get insulted at practice. Trent Krim is watching him, how practice, just gets destroyed. And he hands out the books to all the players. That's the episode where he hands out, each player gets a book. And Roy Kent's like, is this a fucking joke? I'll do my Roy Kent voice later. But like, he gets a wrinkle in time, and he doesn't know why he gets a wrinkle in time. And then when Roy attacks him, he goes, what the fuck is this with this fucking book? And Trent Krim explains to him why it's important for him to read the book, Wrinkle in Time. And then Roy's like, so you want me to be the little girl? And Ted's like, I'd like you to be.
You know what's really interesting about what we were saying about like the whole ethos behind the Ted Lasso character. You recommended the show to me right when it basically came out. And I watched the first couple episodes because I take your recommendations seriously. And always, because you have great taste. And I watched them and I had a really, you're so welcome. And I watched them and I had such a hard time with it because everyone was giving Ted Lasso the hardest time. People were trying to sabotage him. People were being fucking mean and rude and terrible to him. And I was just like, I don't want to see this. Like, I felt so bad for him because I was so rooting for him. And so I think I stopped after episode 2. And then I like kind of gave up, and then everybody started like watching it more and more, and I got more and more recommendations. I was like, fuck, I gotta give it another shot, because I was straight up like, I come from I literally almost say I come from the school of Parks and Rec. I love Parks and Rec because of the positivity. I love Schitt's Creek because of the positivity. And watching Ted Lasso like get his ass kicked and like the first couple episodes really was driving me bananas. But then I realized, oh, like I should have. I obviously knew that it was coming. Like eventually, people would start getting on his side, but it just I think took too long and I got impatient.
Well, that's
But
why the third
that's
episode.
why it is that next like feel good show for me.
Yeah, and that's why the third episode, Trent Crimm, the Independent, and who's the actor that plays Trent Crimm? I'm blanking on his name. I apologize.
God, Matt, so unprepared.
I had all of the other guys done. Um,
And you know what's funny?
James
I started
Lance.
making the list and I was like, Matt's got it. I knew you would have all the names.
James Lance plays Trent Crimm. And because that's why, like, Trent Crimm was our entrance. He was the only other. He was the only press man, and the press is obviously hating him. They're calling everyone. Everyone is calling him wanker. In England. So obviously Trent Crimm was the audience's way into seeing the view of Ted Lasso. And when Trent Crimm wrote his article saying, I won't, and at the end he's like, I won't root for the people. I won't root for Ted to fail, because he finally saw who Ted was when he was in that interview. That
Yeah.
Ted doesn't know what he's doing, but Ted tells you he doesn't know what he's doing. You
Yeah.
know, and he's okay with that. He's okay with learning. He's here to create a space. He's here to create a family. He knows that the only way a team can win is with a family dynamic.
When they're
Not
supported that way
yes, when
and
there is
supportive of each other that way.
correct. So, and that's why like Trent writing that article was so important, because now we're like, all right, we're all, because also that's the episode I think where Roy, after reading A Wrinkle in Time with his niece Phoebe, and he goes, "Fuck." I think he goes to the club that night and headbutts um, Oliver. I think the character of Oliver, who's one of our side characters, headbutts him and says, "Stop messing with Nate."
Oh,
Because
for
finally,
sure.
because Roy finally goes, I am now taking on the responsibility of being captain, because Ted has told me I need to, and this is how a captain behaves.
Ted
So I
said
put
he's the one that's going to change it.
yes,
It's going to turn it all around.
because if the dominoes are gonna fall in everybody's hearts, that's what he says. It's like that Roy's the first one that has to fall.
Ah, it's
Because
so good.
that's one of the lines. So it's so it is so good, so good.
It's very
Um,
heartwarming. It's very funny. Um, it also has one of my new favorite lines, which is like so not like characteristic of my taste, but it
I
just is
know.
because of Brett Goldstein's delivery.
Yes.
Matt, take it away. What is the line that I'm about to
Am
tell?
I
Are you forgetting the exact wording? Because I can say it.
it's the incurable.
Yeah, he Brett Goldstein as
Brett
Roy
goes,
Kent says, I hope he dies
eyes
from the incurable disease of being a little bitch.
yeah. I hope he dies of the incurable disease of being a little bitch.
Oh my God. See, that's why I wanted you to say it, because your impression of Roy Kent is spectacular.
Well, because Brett Goldstein, and this is where I love the stories of the actors involved with Ted Lasso. So since this is a lot of actors listen to your podcast and everything, um, because Jason Sudeikis has been around for a really long time,
Yeah.
as far as like and it was one of those things where it was. I think a lot of people kind of maybe felt like this a little bit about Jason Sudeikis. Not that he's a bad actor; he's not. He's actually
No,
really
he's
great,
fantastic.
which is why Ted Lasso is so brilliant, because you finally get to really see Jason Sudeikis be brilliant. And he's
Doing a
brilliant
lot of different things too.
doing so many different things, and that's what I like about Ted Lasso is like Jason Sudeikis he's not like they went and got Brad Pitt to play Ted Lasso. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Jason Sudeikis, yeah, he's been around. We know who he is. We're like, hey, that's Jason Sudeikis. We know his name. I've watched him on SNL. I've watched him his career post SNL. You know, but he was not like, okay, we're gonna go grab a star. But then like everybody else on the show, they're not huge stars. Brett Goldstein is a comic and a writer from England. He's a stand-up comedian. He's written plays. He wrote his own, and this is how I went in depth to learn about these people. Festival. So this is why the show is brilliant because like
This is why I love recapping with you because you always have the trivia. You always have the goss,
well because
the tea.
Brett Goldstein's been around for a bit, but like I've never seen him on any other British show. But that may not be because I don't watch all the British shows, but I try to watch a lot. Um, but he's a British comic. He's been to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is huge for stand-up comedians and launching pad for new works. Like Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Fleabag launched at the Edinburgh. Well, not launched, but one of its big things at the beginning of its longevity was the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. But like Brett Goldstein has written his own movie and produced his own movie called Super Bob, which
Did
is
you
like
see
holy.
it?
No, I can't find it anywhere yet, and I'm going to. I'm going to find it. But then like Hannah Waddingham, who is a West End star. Like Hannah Waddingham is a huge West End musical theater star. Like that's how she's
Hannah
known.
Waddingham with the amazing arms and
Hannah Waddingham with the
talent.
amazing arms that could arm, like the line is like, "I'd like to watch Michelle Obama and you arm wrestle." I couldn't look away. I don't know the full line, but it's a brilliant line. Hannah Waddingham was a West End star, so it's like one of those things where they're like, she's not a TV star, but we're going to bring her in because she's the best for the part, which is why it's so nice because a lot of times I find, especially with musical theater people, that when people who made the movie, and this was something that was talked about during 2020 because of the movie The Prom. The Prom was a hit Broadway show. That was a musical that was made with top-notch Broadway talent, Brooks Ashmankis, Beth Level, Christopher Sieber, who were Angie Schroer, who had all of these parts that they played kind of cast and built around these actors, which is why it fit them so well. Then The Prom, the movie, gets made, and none of them are in it, which to me is very upsetting because I'm like, but this was theirs. This was their part. But they wanted to put names in it, which is why I love Ted Lasso because like none of these people are really names. Like Brendan Hunt has been friends with Jason Sudeikis for a number of years and he's done stuff, but you've never heard of Brendan Hunt. He's been a writer. He's written one-man shows. He's written plays. He's done improv forever. He lived in freaking, I believe, Denmark for like 6 years. It might have been Denmark. Could have been Belgium. I think it was Denmark though. And so with Brett Goldstein, it's like, you don't hear of him, and now he's Roy freaking Kent.
Right. And I mean, they're it's interesting. I always think about that because a lot of
Oh,
people
it
say like, oh,
froze.
they just came. What? Did I freeze?
It froze for a second.
Am I
So you have
back?
to edit that out. Yeah, you're back.
It's okay. Um, I'll do my best. But it always interests me when people say, "Oh, like they came out of nowhere." But like really, they have been putting in the footwork probably for years, and people are like, "Oh, they were an overnight success." No, no.
The only,
Everyone works their asses off, and eventually, preparation meeting opportunity. And I think one of the lines in Ted Lasso even is, the more you put yourself out there or something, the harder
yeah,
you work, the luckier you get.
yes,
The
yeah,
harder you work, the luckier you get.
yeah. And to
Love
me,
that so
like
much.
going into that show, like the two biggest names that I knew, I think Juno Temple was aside from Jason Sudeikis, was the biggest name. Juno Temple's been acting for a while. The first time I ever saw her do anything was Atonement with James McAvoy and Keira Knightley.
Love
Um,
atonement.
and that was the first time and then I saw her do a lot of things. Juno Temple's been doing a lot of things since then. But the only other person I knew was Jeremy Swift. And the only reason I knew Jeremy Swift because he was on Downton Abbey. He was brilliant. And then I remember him seeing play a completely different character in Mary Poppins Returns. And I was just like, dude, you are gifted. You're you're just talented beyond belief. And now I basically follow all of them on Instagram and
I
everything
love
because
it so much.
I
It's
just
a
wanted to,
really, really great feel good show.
and they're all very supportive of each other. That's why I also like, I always say I hope that my career does lead to television. I don't know if it ever will, but I hope to be on a show like Friends or Parks and Rec or Ted Lasso because the cast supports each other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like Friends was unheard of that the cast negotiated their contracts together. It's a big deal, and it still is a big deal in this day and age for a reason, because we put the cast first, we put each other first. not our individual properties. So it's like you look at Parks and Rec, all of them were supportive of each other. That's why they always had the fun take. Michael Schur always did the fun take, and that's why like one of the best lines from the show is like it says you have network connectivity issues when
I
Leslie Nope
typed in
said,
your symptoms.
and that was a fun take. That was a fun take that they did, and Chris Pratt came up with it. He's always sure is like I wish I could have come up with that line, but no, that was all Chris Pratt.
Didn't they do that in Ted Lasso too? I think Jackson was telling us that when he like
Hmm.
hits the sign or something, he like actually like hurt himself
He
and they
actually hit
kept
his
it.
head. Yeah, and even
Yeah.
the in the last episode where he's going left leg, right leg, that was Hannah Waddingham has done an interview going, yeah, that wasn't supposed to be there. That's just Jason doing his thing. And she says, it's very hard to keep a straight face. She's like, I break, and she's because it's very hard to keep a straight face because these people make you laugh. She's like,
Yeah.
she says, I can't be in a scene with Nick Mohammed because Nick Mohammed is, she says, is so twinkly. So she looks at his earlobe because he will make her laugh. And
Yeah.
she's trying to get through the scene, which is why I think it's so wonderful to be that because, they're supportive, they're together, and you can feel that coming off the screen. And I think that's partly why it hit home for so many people during season one because it was in 2020. I believe it came out in May. Like I want to say it came out in May of 2020, which was
That long
still
ago? Wow.
very much at the height of the first wave. We had
Yeah.
just shut down 2 months ago in March. And I want to say it was like May or June because I remember like sitting in my home watching this going, what is this show? Oh my God. And it was, and even though, and they did the smart thing to me television wise, like they didn't end it on a happy note. They didn't stay in the Premier League. Like they got relegated to the Championship League. Which if British football, that's an unfortunate thing. Um, and they did make fun of American sports as well, which I thought was funny. What happens if you lose? You just keep playing your games. Just nothing happens. Like, and nothing happens to you? No. So, which I thought
Yeah.
was, yeah, that's American sports.
100%. Um it's just so good, and I highly recommend it to anyone that's listening. If you haven't seen it already, do check out Ted Lasso. I feel like it's kind of hitting the spot, particularly if you're looking to laugh and like maybe take a break from the reruns that you're probably watching during this time. Like
And
for me, it's been Schitt's Creek.
the
Check it
funny thing
out
is that Ted Lasso became a part of my reruns. Like I
because you watch everything at the speed of light.
Well, I mean, also the reason why Ted Lasso became part of it, as like one, it made me feel good. Two, I thought the show was brilliantly written and acted. Jason Sudeikis with his whole panic attack and his divorce arc throughout the show. The panic attack episode was brilliant, and just the way Hannah Waddingham changed her relationship, advanced her relationship with Keeley, and advanced her relationship with Ted in that episode. And I know she didn't want to, but that's when you got to see that Rebecca is really at the heart of herself. And I think that's like welcome the Make Rebecca Great Again. I think that's the name of that episode because
Hmm.
that's when we get introduced to her best friend Sassy. Um and and that's I think also that's one of the episodes that's nominated for an Emmy for either directing or writing or both. That Make Rebecca Great Again. I think that episode's either nominated for writing or directing or both. I can't remember.
Specifically
Um
that episode.
that episode, Biscuits is nominated for directing because I believe it was also directed by Zach Braff, and Zach Braff
Yeah, that caught my eye when I was watching today. I was like, oh, Zach Braff directed this. That's really cool.
got nominated for directing for that episode. So,
Amazing. Yeah, he's
um,
spectacular.
because it's Bill Lawrence. If you don't know, guys, know who Bill Lawrence is. Bill Lawrence is one of the executive producers on the show and help showrunners, and Bill Lawrence is the creator of Scrubs.
For sure.
And
And I feel like a lot of people don't really know. I don't know, maybe certain, actors and playwrights that listen may know, but like Zach Braff is an accomplished not only actor, writer, director, he's a playwright as well. What
yeah,
what was the play that he wrote?
I believe it's All Kinds of People. Let me see if
We're
I'm
gonna have
right.
to look this up because I know like in my acting class we occasionally put up his work. Um
Zach Braff play.
and it's like very much a style that he
Oh,
has.
okay. Sorry, not All Kinds of People. All New People.
All new people. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew
yeah.
I knew I knew it was all in people. It's all new people. Because I
Definitely.
believe I if my memory serves correctly, I was in New York when it premiered. I believe it premiered at actually Playwrights Horizons. Believe it or not.
Interesting.
No, no, sorry, not Playwrights Horizons. It premiered at Second Stage. I forgot. It's not Playwrights. I believe it premiered at Second
In case
Stage.
you guys haven't realized, Matt is a cornucopia of theater, film, television knowledge. So
I
perfect
like that.
guess for a good recap.
Well, yeah. So Ted Lasso, I can't recommend it enough. I think it helped highlight where they said like psychological problems, like panic attacks, mental health problems, panic attacks, not psychological problems. Sorry for that, but mental health problems, um, like panic attacks, because Ted did like visibly have one, and we got to see them go through it. Um, and I like how they continued it into season two, was just self worth problems that a lot of people I think are having. I think
100%.
because now to get into season two, Rebecca is on the dating app and she's dating, and because now she feels like she can go out and date now, and they're also highlighting mental health problems in the sports world, which became big deal. It's almost like Ted Lasso was written to be coming out this summer, because we all saw what happened to Simone Biles at the Olympics and her dealing with the twisties,
Right.
and then Michael Phelps even coming out saying, he's been trying to support mental health in athletes for a long time now,
Yes.
and they are highlighting that this season in Ted Lasso, which I thought, like, what is this? Is kismet that
Well,
we're talking
also,
about this at the same time.
I did notice that it wasn't just in that episode where that popped up. It was hinted since episode 1 that that would come up, because when I was rewatching, I noticed that I think when he went to his first practice, he was a little nervous and he
Oh
took
yeah,
his
that's
hands out of his pockets and was like
yeah,
clenching and unclenching them.
yep,
And that is like the physicalization of the
his
start of his
his
panic
panic attack.
attacks.
Yeah.
And it was just like so subtle and beautiful, like that the audience, I don't think, really thinks much of it when they see that moment until like they either see it again or see it later.
Yeah, and it was in um so yes, I saw that too on a rewatch. I went, "Oh, that's where it is. That's where it starts." So you already see that Ted is battling something going through it. But yeah, self-worth, because I thought what Roy Kent said to her in the episode where he goes on a double date with him and Keeley, because Roy Kent and Keeley get together. Which is a
Spoilers.
beautiful relationship. I'm spoiling everything. So sorry
What's it?
everybody.
What is it? Oh my God. What is it? What he says? You look amazing.
Oh, he's like, "Fuck. You look amazing." That's at Sexy Christmas. But
Sexy Christmas.
what he says to Rebecca is like, "Don't settle for fine. You deserve
Mm-hmm.
more than fine, because you're
Yes.
not fine."
I
Which,
love that so much.
I think I know you and I have talked about this, and I think other people who are probably single and or can't find that person, or maybe they're not even looking for that person, and that's fine. If you're like, I want to be by myself, I'm like, that's awesome.
And I think that, I don't know, I'm not an expert, obviously, but like, I think in order to have a healthy, successful relationship with someone, you should be able to know how to be happy on your own.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that too. But I also agree that you have to know your value, and the person who you're with has to feed into that value that you have in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They're never taking it away. You
Never.
know,
You both support each other. Um, be the best person each of you could be.
and the person who you're with should see when you're down, should be the one pulling you back up, because they know where you're supposed to be, you know, and because they go, "You're in a bad place. I'm going to bring you back up," which I believe is what everybody does. The characters do to each other on Ted Lasso when they're paying attention to each other. It's
Well,
like,
that's
I'm going
also
to,
just the basis of an incredible friendship.
yeah, absolutely. But that's why it was so great to hear Roy, who in the beginning of the season and was struggling with how do I adjust to my life no longer being a footballer, because my whole life has been I'm Roy Kent, I'm here, I'm there, I'm every fucking where, I'm Roy Kent. Um, uh, and he was adjusting, and you could see like he was abusing alcohol a little bit in the first, which I didn't think that, as like I think they were purposely saying like he's drinking more rosé with his yoga
Oh,
mom's
I
day.
didn't catch that myself. I have to.
He's like topped me off when he saw the episode of Jamie Tart. At the date, he's drinking a lot of whiskey. He keeps getting, I need two more of these because this guy is so freaking boring and annoying. He keeps asking me questions about football, and I don't want to talk about football.
So
And
interesting.
you can see him going, I'm trying to find my way through adjusting. But even then, he still had the ability to pull Rebecca up and go, no, don't settle for fine. You know, and because you could see Keely was like, I'm trying to support Rebecca. I'm trying to support my best friend. I'm trying to help her and make her feel like she's lovely and pretty and everything. And then Roy's like, fuck, no. Roy Kent is awesome.
We love Roy Kent. I think he's my favorite character so
But
far.
now to
Him and
kind of,
Ted, obviously,
oh,
but
him and Ted. But to kind of like segue this a little bit into the trip that we just had.
oh yeah. I mean, let's
What I
please
like,
talk about the trip.
what I like about Ted Lasso is that I think, what most television should be. Television developed as like the water cooler show. Like when people would go to the office and go to the water cooler. So a Ted Lasso, I think, allows you to have those moments with your friends. Because I remember, it gives you, to me, it's like appointment television now that I can text with my friends. Like, did you see? What did you think? That's not every show, by the way. That doesn't mean that the show.
No.
That's
It's
not
got
every
to be
show.
really special for that to be it. Like for that was Breaking Bad for me
We
and
were, but
Ted
that was our
Lasso.
group. But that was our
Yeah.
group too. Like I remember when we were all watching the Breaking Bad finale. I think I was texting you and our friends Jackson and Claire, like,
Yep.
"Are you watching?" Like,
Yeah.
So, and I felt because we all felt the same way during all four of us, our two friends that we visited in Montana. We did the same thing with the Parks and Rec finale. We all
Oh,
watched the Parks
for
and Rec
sure.
finale, and I think Ted Lasso is just another one of those shows that gives you the opportunity to be like, if your friends and you are watching it, because I know before we flew out to Montana, I told you this, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I got a text from our friend Jackson. He said, "Do you watch Ted Lasso?" I think I typed the fastest I've ever typed in a text, which was like, "Of course I watched Ted Lasso. Do you? It's
I thought
brilliant."
you made him watch Ted Lasso.
I might have recommended it to him at some point, but I don't know. I was recommending Ted Lasso to everyone.
I know you were. It's so funny because I recommended Schitt's Creek to them and they just finished Schitt's Creek. And I think this is the one they picked up right after they finished Schitt's Creek. And so
Okay.
he texted me as well. And he's like, have you seen Ted Lasso? I'm like, yeah, but I started it, but like I didn't continue. And he's like, well, you're going to have to watch it because we're going to be watching the episode that comes out the Friday that you're here. So
Yeah.
catch up, which honestly it was a very easy task because the episodes go so quick and we weren't even that many seasons. We're season 2. So like it was very, very easy. And it's so cool to like know like, okay, I have this deadline to hit before we fly out to Montana and we're all going to watch this together. And it was so much fun.
But exactly. It was so nice to sit in their house, after enjoying a few drinks, shooting an audition. So thank you, Pam, Jackson, and Claire.
You're welcome. That was a team effort, that audition.
That was a team effort. It was awesome. That's how you want to do a self-tape on a vacation as a team.
Well, that's also the rule, right? Like you go out of town, you're going to get an audition.
I did not know this rule, but everyone now know this rule.
Yeah. Be prepared. Take your light setup with you. Take your camera, take your computer, like
bring multiple types of clothes.
So or just be staying with a friend that you can borrow clothes from,
So, but anyway, it was just so nice to sit down and watch Ted Lasso with everybody and enjoy it, talk about it, and go, wow, this is what it makes me feel, experience, and everything. So, and it's so nice to do that with your friends.
100%.
Because especially if you're not near them, it gives you another way of connecting. Because
yes.
that's how I feel with my my best friend and his wife live in San Diego, and I haven't seen them now. I think since 2019. Actually, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, and so they moved down to San Diego. So like one of the things we constantly do with each other is we have our group text, and when like Brooklyn Nine-Nine was announcing their final trailer, I immediately was like, boom, boom, sent it to them, and then we're talking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine for a bit. When Jodie Whittaker announced that she was leaving Doctor Who, because all three of us are huge Doctor Who fans, I copied the article, sent it in, and all of a sudden we're all talking, and then we're sending Doctor Who gifts. It gives you a sense of connection even though you're so far away. And yeah, you call them up and you can talk to them about other things, things that are going on in your life, all that stuff. But television kind of helps you do that. I think that's probably why, aside from theater, television is the medium I love the most. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so funny. Brett Goldstein, I'm going to tout Brett Goldstein's podcast, Films to Be Buried With, which everyone should listen to. It's fantastic.
Films
But
to be buried with. Hey,
Films to Be
Brett, you want to come on No One's Okay and talk with Matt
Please,
and I?
Brett. Oh my God. I just
Oh,
want
we
him to.
love you.
I just want him to interview me, but at the same time, because he asks all these questions about like, what's your favorite film? What's the best film of all time objectively? And he means like from your point of view, and what film do you find the sexiest? What's the most romantic? He has these sets of questions that he asks everybody. And I sit there and I listen to them and I try to think about the films that, mean the most to me. And I find it very hard because I always say like, if you ask me that in TV shows, I know immediately. I would know
Yes.
immediately because I tell people it's like if television watching was an addiction, which it probably is, but
Oh,
if
it
that
can
was
be for sure. I feel like most things can be, but for sure, I suffer
but
from
like
that affliction.
I watch way too much. Way too much.
I do too, but I feel like you watch a greater variety than I do sometimes. Like you I feel like you said at the beginning of the show, you tend to watch things, you give everything a shot. Whereas
Yeah.
it takes me a minute to fully make the decision to get into something, because once I am into something, I end up watching it multiple times because I am just analyzing the crap out of it, and I'm
Yeah.
really taking in things that I like maybe missed the first time, or I'm just watching it out of pure like, this is my security blanket, I need to be comforted, I know what's coming. It's
Yeah,
just nice.
I especially over the last few months and actually maybe almost close to a year now, I've been watching almost strictly comedies because of writing my podcast, which is a comedy. I was like, I can't have a drama on the background.
Well, have you seen The
And
Sinner?
I did. I saw the first season.
You saw the first season?
You
Okay, you
recommended
should
to me.
watch the second and third.
Yeah.
Um,
Which,
now
by the way,
that you're taking, are you
I
taking a
de-
little break from writing right now?
yeah. Well,
Sort
yeah.
of. Meh. Complicated question.
Well, it's complicated because like we just finished season 2 of Agents, and our season finale released on Wednesday, which is great.
Woo! Check out
But of
Agency
course,
Classified podcast, guys.
especially the season finale, whew, it is a triumph.
Hell yeah.
But I say when I say that, I don't like to broadcast too much, but it is a triumph. That one is a triumph.
His cheeks are a little red, but he means it.
It's so hard. Anyway, of course, I'm the psychopath that finished and went, okay, what now am I gonna write? Like that's how my brain worked. Not like, oh, let me take a month off. It was, no, what now am I gonna write?
Well, that's
Shit.
just very you. But
I don't know
sometimes
if
you
it's
do need to
healthy.
be reminded. Sometimes you do need to be reminded to take a break. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if it's healthy, but that's what my brain went to. It helped me that I like mapped out some things for season 3 of Agents.
Yeah.
So because I was like,
I
okay.
know when I'm getting the text, like I got a text last night from you. I can't speak very clearly right now. But it's like your arc in season 3. I was like, what? Already?
I figured it out. I was like, got it, done. Because it was like brimming in my head, and I was like, oh, you can't see the hand gestures I'm making right now.
Amazing.
But yeah.
I could talk about this forever, but since we're closing in on an hour very shortly, I'm just gonna ask you, are you okay?
No, I
Why?
am better than okay.
Okay, tell me.
Which is different than the last time you asked me this question. Um, I think I've kind of made some plans for how it's gonna go, how what I'm gonna do for the next few months, um, which helps me out. I know plan. You know, they always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans or whatever. And that's not what I'm kind of at. It's more of like, all right, I know what I'm gonna do over the next few months. Just I'm gonna apply to some things. Try to just create some movement. And that doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but at least you're out there trying to do something. And it was great. And having the trip to Montana, getting to see you after 2 years, getting to see
In the
Jackson in
flesh.
the flesh, getting to see you after 2 years, getting to see Jackson and Claire after 2 years, and they're beautiful kids. Um, it was great. It was a nice kind of reset. I mean, it was very hard for me to leave.
Very hard.
So hard. Um, and like Jackson even said, hey, if the flight gets canceled, I think the flights to Montana are still cheap. I was like, don't tempt me. I will
Honestly,
get back on the plane.
every time I'm over there, it's so hard for me to leave. And I think particularly this time, because it had been so long. I
Yep.
did see them in January 2020, but I haven't seen you, I think, since end of
Since they moved
2018.
out.
Oh,
No,
since
they
they
since they
Oh,
moved
that's
out.
right. We did hang out like a couple
We
nights or the night before they left.
Yeah.
So that
So
2019.
yeah.
Um, but oh my god, I totally forgot about that night. That was fun. Uh but yeah, it had been so long. And I think the past year and a half has been so riddled by anxiety, a lot of social anxiety, a lot of scared to be around even people that I'm close to,
Mm-hmm.
so having the opportunity to kind of plan out how we were going to do this safely, we were all vaccinated. Matt and I got tested before we flew, and we like were
Multiple
very
times.
we were very careful on the plane and at the airport. And like once we got there, we just felt safe to be in each other's company, which was so liberating because I
So
haven't felt
nice.
that in so long. And we just got to focus on kind of enjoying everyone's company and catching up and like really having some quality family time together.
Yeah, because
And
it really is family like that. I To me, like that, our group is the embodiment of what Friends the show was about. It's the period of
yeah,
time where your friends are your family, but it's not even just the period. Like your friends will always stay your family. Who are those friends? Like they will stay your family.
100%. And it was just so beautiful to get to see how each of us has grown over the last few years. And literally seeing the humans that our friends have made and how they're growing and chasing them around and like playing and going on
And
hikes to
falling
the
asleep
river.
on a couch.
Okay, I'm never gonna live it down. Okay, let me just be real. I First of all, as I said, I love you and Jackson and Claire and their kids like so much. But I have been very much accustomed to like my routine here. And I am a night owl and I get up late and I work at late at night. And so getting up at like 8 a.m. or trying to shut up, Matt.
No.
Trying to, and then like running around all day and like being active for the entire day. It was just like so foreign to my body that yes, I may have fallen asleep while watching Octonauts. Okay.
I understand completely what you're saying because I we try to stay on the kids' eating schedule because that's
Yeah.
as parents that's how you stay. You stay on the kids' eating schedule because that's easy. So everyone eats at the same time. Which for me, that's what I was dealing with while I was there. I was like, okay, I don't have my snacks here that I can go and like grab or whatever. So it's like, okay, just deal with it. Drink a lot of water, whatever. Because I was like, there will be moments where I'm like, I'm tired, but it's tired because my blood sugar is low. Because this is normally when I would have my 2 o'clock snack,
That's
and I
really
can't.
funny. It was sort of the opposite for me because I do intermittent fasting. So I stop eating at 8 p.m. and I don't
Yep.
start eating until like noon or 1 p.m. And so having
Yep.
breakfast, particularly when you're hungover, not ideal.
Hungover, and then unfortunately you did have a migraine come on, which was really terrible.
It sucked. And I felt so bad. I don't know if any of our listeners have ever experienced this. Like, have you, been so excited about, a trip or like an event or something like that. And then you're finally there and you're having a good time. And literally, I drank less than all of you guys.
I don't know. That first
Excuse
night,
me. I for sure did.
I don't know. That first night, we were all like, even Claire. Like, I have to say, like, Claire was knocking it back with us.
It was just, I here at home, like I don't party on my own. Like I'll have like a glass of wine here and there, maybe an Aperol spritz, but like and obviously like people on the show are like, you're drinking, you often drink when you record. Yes, I do. But I think it was the combination of the flying and the
Yeah.
anxiety at the airport, like the whole thing gave me this migraine, which was like beyond anything. Like you guys were, I'm assuming a little hungover that morning, but
I
not nearly where I was. I
I
had to go
was
back to sleep.
I wasn't.
But that was just so embarrassing for me because I want to be like so game and so ready to like
But then on
play.
but then on the subject of circling this back to Ted Lasso and Friends, like,
Beautiful.
to me, if your friends, like, you should be able to joke about, you know, all of that stuff, which we did. And you kept saying, I feel embarrassed, but like all three of us were like, please do not feel embarrassed. Migraines are nothing to feel embarrassed about.
Yeah, I
Nothing.
know.
I mean, you've seen me hungover. We've all seen each other hungover before,
Yes.
the four of us. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's nothing to feel like. And then when the migraine finally came on, like, yeah, we all joked about you being hungover in the morning because, like, hello.
Look at her.
And then when the migraine
she can't look at the delicious scramble that Claire made.
Oh, that's right. That was the morning of the quiche. Um, so so, but when the migraine came on, like, Jackson's like, she's in the camper puking because that's when you thought you were gonna puke.
I didn't though.
You didn't,
Success.
and migraines can do that to you. So then it became
For sure.
all right, and that's when we kind of all three of us went into, all right, so what can we do? We're gonna leave her alone. So we're gonna keep all the kids. I know, like, Claire, we were like, okay, we can go do stuff with the kids. We walked to Cedar Creek. So, like, if you needed to go to, I think it was like, so if you needed to go to the bathroom in the house, everyone was out. We had.
That was very nice. I felt very taken care of. I was getting texts and they're like, can we help you? I'm like, stay away. The monster is out.
But that's how it should be, because that's why I kept going. I think Jackson thought I was upset about the skewer thing, but I kept the joke going because I thought it was funny when I ate the skewer meat.
The whole meat snack.
Meat
snack. But yeah, no, I was just grateful that it didn't last like 5 days, which it sometimes does.
Oh, I know.
And I think when my anxiety hit about it, I was sort of like, I was talking to myself when I was laying down. Like my eyes were shut. I was like clenching everything. I was like trying not to pass away. And I was like, if the situation was reversed and if it was any one of them, like I would not be annoyed or upset with them. I would just want them to feel better. Mm-hmm. And that was like really the only thing I can hang on to. I was like, they're fine. Let me just get better.
Yeah, we were totally.
And then I went to sleep and I woke up fine, which was great.
We were absolutely fine. We're like, great. You came back out and she's like, she's fine. We're good. She's alive. She's alive again. So anyway, let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Pam.
Yes.
Are you okay?
No. Thanks for asking, Matt. No, I'm not okay. It's been a roller coaster since we've been back. Like I always get post-trip blues. It was really hard for me to leave. It was hard for both of us to leave. That sucked. It was so much fun. And since I've been back, I've just been so tired, but I'm grateful. I had a couple auditions come in the day that I got back. So I'm grateful like they didn't come in during like yours. And so busy week coming up, some stuff that I'm really excited about. So I'm way better than okay. And I'm just grateful for the amazing trip that we had. and for comedic television and all the good things.
Mm-hmm.
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 Mm-hmm. And
God.
Matt, thank you for doing this episode with me. Where can our listeners follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at matt.mancuso1 because I remembered my handle this time.
He was literally like 3 episodes ago. In case you're dying to see his wonderful face, you can check him out. I'm going to put some pictures up, probably a screenshot that we just took where I'm not looking my best. He looks spectacular. I look like
the reason I look okay is because I got my hair cut today.
Yeah, it looks very good, Matt. Very fresh.
That's how you get rid of the gray hairs.
Just snip them.
Seriously, that's like people are like, you look so young. I'm like, that's because you don't see the gray anymore. It's all gone. I just shave it off. But yeah, my Instagram is matt.mancuso1. That's really where I am. I mean, I'm on Twitter, but I don't tweet. So
I am too. I don't tweet either. It's not my platform.
It's not my platform. Instagram is because the podcast that I produce with Claire Buchignani, a separate Claire. We post on Instagram and everything, and so you can go to my website through my Instagram and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's where I am. Follow me there.
Follow him there, and also check out the season 2 finale of Agency Classified podcast. It just came out this week, and it is wonderful, and we're both in it. Woo!
Pam gives a spectacular performance.
Oh, shucks, Matt. Thank you. I love being a part of it. It's such a fun show. If you haven't subscribed to it, please do so.
I try my best to give Ted Lasso vibes.
Ted Lasso vibes. Fun. If you like secret agents that are silly,
that's become like my whole goal since Ted Lasso premiered was, how do I become a writer on Ted Lasso?
I'll just make my own.
Because I was like, I don't think they're going to cast me as an actor because I'm not British.
You never know.
You never know. But I was like, how do I get in touch with Brendan Hunt? And how do I become a writer on Ted Lasso? Because that would make my life complete.
Hey, Brett Goldstein. Let's collab.
Brett Goldstein. Brett freaking Goldstein. Dude, you are brilliant.
Amazing. Matt, say that again.
The entire cast, brilliant.
The entire cast is brilliant, as is the entire cast of Agency Classified.
They are, yes.
Yes. Matt, thank you for joining me.
Pamela, thank you for having me.
Matt, anytime.
Anytime for you, Pamela.
Amazing. I know this is a super casual episode, super different than what I usually do, but I needed a moment to recover from the trip, and I didn't want to go in the studio to potentially infect Jason with anything I could have picked up, but I'm pretty sure we're fine now. So I will probably be back in studio next week.
I think this episode, along being on Ted Lasso, is promoting how to be smart in our current times, you know?
That means a lot, Matt. Thank you.
I think but that's how you have to be. I know a lot of people are very frustrated with having to wear masks and not wear masks, whatever. But I think it's all like, if you're going to take a book from Ted Lasso, take a page from
out of the Ted Lasso book.
Yes, out of the Ted Lasso book. To me, it's like, I know it's very easy to think about what's going wrong in our lives, and we all are allowed to do that. We all have to, because it's kind of taking stock of yourself. But I believe if we're looking at like Ted Lasso, it's like, once you do that, try to then look outside yourself. You know, that's how when people say you're not annoyed wearing masks, like, I'm really not. If wearing a mask is going to protect the person next to me, I'd much rather protect them than me get my way.
100%.
Because to me, this is my personality. Like, I don't ever want to be responsible for someone's death or
absolutely
sickness.
Not.
So, and I believe Ted Lasso is the same way. Like, you take a page from that. Just once you've kind of done, take your own stock of yourself, then think outside. What's going to be best for the bulk of people? Not just for me. What's going to be the best? And that's why I think you staying home and you doing a nice recap episode, recovery episode, and everything like that, I think that's promoting one, good health in terms of staying home, making sure you don't infect anybody in case. And
just in case.
And also know, every time once in a while, you need to have a break from the normal stuff.
Sometimes you need to wear your Harry Potter pajama shorts and record from your hallway.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to talk about Ted Lasso and let me ramble on for 45 15 minutes.
I agree. It was much needed. It definitely hit the spot. So I'm so grateful. And yes, Ted Lasso. Take a page out of the Ted Lasso book. Kindness is king. Compassion is king. Woo! Matt, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast was produced by Jason Crow and me, Pamela Portnoy, with music by Jordan Ross Weinhold. You can follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at No One's Okay, and please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. We love kind reviews. No One's Okay is also on YouTube, so if you want to see our faces, please subscribe to our channel. An extra special thank you goes out to Sean Moore, Claire Palmer, Jackson Palmer, Tiffany Haymoff, and Alexa Marie Anderson. This podcast was recorded at Soundworks Studios. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.